Hi, it's Peter with the Third Chair, coming to you live from Light Speed here in Colorado Springs with the Women's Touch Art Show Series.
Hey, where's Doug?
Doug is had to be out of town in Wyoming, and he'll be back soon.
So we're going to reduce his pay by 10%?
Absolutely, and
Okay,
that will still equal mine. And so we're just super excited. We have seen so many amazingly talented female artists, and we're going to bring a bunch of them to you, including examples of your work. So stay tuned and enjoy hearing about these artists and seeing their works. Hi, this is Peter from the Third Chair. We're down here at Light Speed, which I'm finally calling this place the right place, with Jade, an artist. Jade, tell us about your style and genre of the art you create.
Yeah, absolutely. So I call my style of art paper illustrations. So the idea is I'm drawing more with cut paper as opposed to with a pencil or graphite. And this kind of lets me make these really nice 3D pieces. I love removing the glass, and I like kind of the breaking the frame on a lot of pieces. I started back in college, where I kind of worked with creating these illustrations without necessarily I used a single sheet and kind of created these pictures, and from there it's just kind of evolved from my thesis to making more of the insects, doing specimens and those types of things, and recently branching out into more elaborate animal portraits and those types of things too.
Awesome. We're going to probably put up a few photos as we're talking. Yes, Mr. Producer?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we've had some other guests on the show that use like laser cutters for metal work, for sort of doing the same thing, building metal pieces. And so, do you have to like learn CAD and how to cut and that sort of thing with a machine, or is that part of the process, right?
Yeah. So originally I did all my pieces cut by hand, and I
Oh, really?
I ended up with blisters on all my knuckles, because I had to switch them out as I was pushing through this hard cardstock. But recently I do all of my art digitally first, and that allows me to make prints, which is really cool. But I have a machine called a Cricut. It's just got like a blade and helps me kind of cut. So I'll draw, transfer in, and then the machine helps me cut, and that helps with what I make.
So that's with the blade. So you're not like firing a laser like Star
No.
Which is really cool technology. You mentioned you did a thesis, so you did some sort of degree then. What did you do education and where?
Yeah, so I went to Metropolitan State up in Denver, and I got my Bachelor's of Fine Arts, specifically in drawing. It was nice because the drawing degree allowed for me to do anything that had some level of drawing within the process. So
Yeah, I have a daughter who has done an associate's in I don't know what they call it at Pikes Peak, but she had to do like learning about all the primary colors and paint with water paints and oil and all this stuff. Was that part of your curriculum?
yeah, so I started at Pikes Peak as well, and as of all things a calculus major. And very quickly I realized I don't want to be in any other class but my art class. So Pikes Peak was amazing to start.
Sure.
And then I did two semesters up at Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design.
Nice.
And then I switched over to Metro to finish out. And I think really my only regret is that I didn't double major with a business as well.
That's a great point, because I think that if anything that I've learned from talking to a lot of artists is they got the artist part down. They can make cool things, but a little bit weaker on the business side of things.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something specifically about Metro or that my teachers were of the previous generation of artists, but there didn't really feel like a lot of connectedness towards new technologies and getting yourself out there. The only thing we were really taught was about getting into professional galleries, and that's not really where every artist wants or needs to go.
Well, and how is an artist nowadays going to make most of their money? I mean, the ones that I've seen are making more money by selling prints of their work than selling their original work. You know, so they have to have websites, social media, marketing.
Oh yeah.
You know, price, choosing the right price point, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were talking out in the hall in pre-production before we came in here about you'd mentioned the 10%. I forget the exact words you used. I know it's the iceberg phenomenon. You only see 10% of the iceberg above the water. The rest is underneath. And you were making an analogy or a point about how that was applying to artwork. You used Hemingway as an example. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, so the thesis work I did in college, you kind of got to have that underlying meaning. Nowadays, I feel like a lot of art is more of, look at this beautiful thing I've created, but back in school we had to really explain why we did things in a certain way. And so I was enjoying Hemingway's works, and one of his big theories was the iceberg theory, where he would present information about a character and he'd only give you a little bit, and he'd expect the readers to kind of like pick out the details in between what was immediately stated to give the characters more of a background. And so I kind of incorporated that with my my thesis work. I called it my shadow boy. Hopefully we'll be able to get a couple pictures up on the screen.
Boy,
yeah, so he was represented as this dark silhouette, and the story went that the shadow boy was lonely, and so he goes to the lady in the swamp and says, "Lady in the swamp, what should I do? I'm lonely." And so she pulls out her book of quests and she says, this is the quest for you. You should go out and you should collect adventures and experiences and friendships. And when you no longer feel lonely, you should bring them all back to me. And I was representing his adventures in a single image where he's collecting these orbs. And that was just kind of how I said, this is the 10% that you as the viewer get to see. Now you get to make up the rest of the story for yourself, is how he got there.
You know, artists frequently say, you'll ask them, what message were you trying to send with this art piece? And I find the most common answer is, what does it mean to you? Being like as important. But sometimes I feel like that's avoiding the question a little bit.
A little bit.
Because people do have causes they love, care about, want to make a message. Having people think about an issue is just as important as looking at a piece of art and whether it makes you feel good or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have themes like that you think about when you create?
Yeah. So for my insects, I do a lot of insect specimen pieces, all out of paper, same kind of thing. I really was enjoying the delicacy of these insects and kind of wanting them to represent the fragility of our own existence in life, and hoping that when we see them we can still appreciate the beauty even when we often lose people. I had lost a very close friend when I started making those, and so that kind of definitely led into why I was enjoying the more macabre styles.
Well, I laughed when you said the delicacy of the insects, because there's a very big sort of global push to have people eat more insect protein. It's like, how do you like your locusts? Medium rare, please. Yeah.
Maybe a little siracha will make it.
Yeah, a little sriracha. I've eaten locusts and weird things in Africa and places, and they cook them enough; they're just crunchy. You can't really even taste them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what has been the biggest challenge for you as an artist?
Honestly, just the social media process. It's like, I'm not a very camera-centric person. I don't necessarily enjoy taking pictures of my process, but in this day and age, to be a successful artist, you have to have a social media presence.
Yeah.
It is one of the most important ways to reach a wider audience.
Sure.
And so just kind of learning how to commit myself to that consistency and really, really hopefully grow an audience and be able to make it to where I would love for everybody, no matter what their financial situation might be, to have fine art in their space. I think everyone deserves that.
Yeah, I mean, and you sure, the more you look at it, the more you appreciate it.
Yeah.
And there's so much different variety that everyone can find something they enjoy. Yeah. Final question. Maybe.
He never follows the rules.
I don't follow the rules. That's what makes us artists. Do you ever have the equivalent of writer's block when you're creating?
Oh, yeah.
And how do you deal with that?
So I was having some real bad artist block at the beginning of this year. I was so tired of making bugs. I was just like, I felt a little bit trapped by my own creations, and that was when I was trying to do some different things. I started making some new projects, and I specifically found a show that I wanted to design something specific for, and that's kind of where my animal portraits started coming out of. I was like, cool, I got a class assignment that's going to push me outside my comfort zone, and I embraced it, and I really enjoy it. So I definitely am going to be making quite a few more of my animal pieces.
Nice. Do you take commissions? Do you do commission work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone says, man, I want a fierce-looking locust, or something like that. You take ideas?
Yes.
How should they get a hold of you?
Probably the best place would be my Instagram. It's jade.doe.co. That's also my email address. Just add that Gmail at the end. And then I do have a website. It is still under construction, but
Okay.
as an artist, everything's always under construction. And that's just jadedoe.com. So, yeah.
Well, thanks, Jade, for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, we're back here at Light Speed. This is Peter from the third chair, and we're here with our special guest, Vashti. Thanks for talking with us.
Yeah, of course.
So, I understand you're an artist, and tell us about your art. What's your genre? What's your media? What's your thing?
So my genre, I would say, is just highlighting Black women. Obviously, as a Black woman myself, I feel like it's really important to have that representation. So I make it a point to showcase that in my work. And then my medium is acrylics, mainly. Hopefully one day oils, but for now it's acrylics.
So, acrylics, have you messed around with watercolor as well? Or
A couple pieces I've added to my acrylic paintings, but for the most part it's just acrylics.
Now, as part of your learning the skill, did you learn this on your own, or did you go to school, or what's your story with that?
So I took drawing when I went to college, but I didn't really pursue painting until actually quarantine. We were all trapped inside, and I needed something to do, some type of outlet, so I started painting, and I fell in love. I could not stop, so I would just go to YouTube every single day, learn something new every single day.
Yeah, from my generation, the painting was a guy named Bob Ross.
Yes.
You know, I remember watching him on TV in real time, along like the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, and then his DVDs came out and CDs, and now of course it's just go to YouTube and watch a clip. And,
That's great.
Yeah, which is nice because it's way more efficient.
Yes.
You can watch an 8-minute segment on what you're actually looking for.
Yes, that's true.
Now, do you focus then? You mentioned you like to focus on black women.
Yeah.
Is there an additional theme with that, like professional black women, or successful black women, or impoverished black women? Is there sort of a theme with that?
Yeah, it's mainly just focusing on mental health, really, within the Black women community.
Oh, that's an important topic.
It really is, and for somebody that has struggled with their mental health like their entire life, it wasn't talked about a lot. It wasn't encouraged to talk about it. So I just want to have that safe space for Black women to talk about it, that they're not alone, other people go through it as well.
Yeah, that's really important. Like I happen to also be trained as a physician.
Okay.
And physicians' mental health has never been worse. Burnout and suicide is very, very high amongst doctors. Wow. So it seems to be a problem affecting a lot of segments of society.
Yeah, it's like on the hush hush. But I feel like it's hard to get better when you feel like you're in it alone because you're scared to talk to people or you're ashamed of it. And I feel like the more we talk about it, the more open people will talk about it, and the more people will get help to get better. So.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Do you do other forms of art like photography or pottery or play an instrument?
I sing a little bit.
You sing a little bit, okay.
But lately I've been taking, I've always been into videography and photography, but I've been taking pictures of people's prints, or of their art to make prints. Because I feel like that's another avenue to sell your art is through prints.
Yeah, that's a really important one.
Yeah, and not a lot of people know how to do it. And like along this journey of like finding out how to do art, I started taking pictures of my own to make prints. So now I'm like venturing out and doing that for other people too.
I've met enough artists your age and maybe a little bit older that don't even want to sell any of their originals anymore. They just, it's like, if you like it, I'll give you a limited edition print.
Yeah.
You know, and autograph it if you want or whatever, but that sort of thing, yeah.
No, I understand that.
Do you ever struggle with sort of the idea of writer's block, like struggling with what idea or where to go with an idea? And how do you deal with that?
All the time, actually. I have so many pieces that are like work in progress because I'll start on something, I don't like it, and I'm like, we'll save that for later, and I'll go to something else. But that's usually what I do, is I just clear my mind and work on something else to kind of have new ideas.
Until you're ready to go back to that first one.
Yeah, exactly, because it's kind of like a fresh start, even though the idea's already there, you know? I just feel like time away to step, for me, works.
That's nice. I think people who paint maybe have that ability to do that a little easier than writers, say, that are writing a 110,000 word novel. And if they're struggling, it's like they just can't like put it away and like start another novel.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they could, but
who wants to do that?
yeah, exactly. And for you, what's the biggest challenge you've had being an artist so far?
I'd say the biggest challenge is just finding time. So I'm a mom of two. I have two little ones. So
little ones. Oh man, you're busy.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. So I feel like finding the time to paint, like a long session of painting, because I'm either working or with my kids. So I feel like that has been my biggest struggle, like focusing on that.
And I drown on duct tape and microfilm.
Ooh, donuts. That's
well. I know one artist who likes to get up at 4 a.m. to get some work done before work and that sort of thing.
See, lately I get off work at 1:15 a.m.
A.M.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So then I just come home and I paint, honestly, until about 4 a.m. and then I go to bed. That's usually when I try, because I'm like.
And then what time are your kids up?
When they're with me, I don't work, so that's okay. Yeah, it's just when they're with me is when I can't paint. But if they're with their dad, then that's when I'm like trying to get all the painting done I can.
So you've sort of, in a sense, got a schedule. Okay, kids are with dad. I know I can allocate this amount of time for dedicated artwork.
Exactly. Yeah, and I started a couple new paintings for this show specifically, so that schedule was kind of hard because it was a deadline. So I was like, I got to figure out how to do this with them here.
Yeah, that's good. The I had heard that you have an Instagram, and part of it was studios. Do you have like a separate studio, like at Cottonwood Center for the Arts, or?
I don't yet. I put that in my name though, just because I want that to be kind of like the goal. I want to start now, and just have that name out there. Yeah, and I have a website, so I have like a shop, and I do commissions and things like that on there. But
so you do commissions?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So, what would be a type of thing that you'd be willing to take on as a commission? Like if someone said, let's say a lady had 2 African American children and wanted either a picture or a painting. Would that be something you'd take on?
Oh, of course. Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be just, in the African American community. I'm really open to anybody and any ideas. I feel like just working with other people and their creative mind with your creative mind and making art Like that's so fulfilling.
For sure.
So it really doesn't matter.
One of the guests we interviewed here a little before you, she did wedding photography as part of her stick.
Okay.
And I was like, you couldn't get me paid to do wedding photos because if you mess that up, you've got some really angry.
That is how you die.
That is how you
That's
die.
fair.
Yeah.
That's a big day.
Yeah, exactly. We decided as a company that we just wouldn't do that for that reason.
Yeah.
I've had a
that's
couple
fair.
of friends where the photographers messed up badly, and they get married and they got nothing to show for it.
That sucks. And that's what I do like with painting now. Like if I paint something that you aren't happy with, we can always paint over it. We can always start over. We can always, rework some things.
So if you're working an idea from start, then do you kind of like outline like your vision of it and where you want it to go, and then sort of have the commissionee sort of sign off on that, and then do some of the work and have them check in periodically, or how do you do that?
Yeah. So usually, at least for my process, is I will kind of just talk to you about what you're wanting, if there's any color schemes or anything like that, and then I do a couple mock-ups, like 3 or 4 mock-ups of the direction that you like, and then I'll do a couple more mock-ups of that to kind of get closer and closer until we get like a final draft, and then I will start the piece.
Do you use any particular computer software to help you? Do you like have a sketch pad with an Apple Pen?
Yeah, I use Procreate sometimes.
So Procreate?
Yeah, sometimes I do digital art, but not really. Like, if I'm going to do Procreate, it's really just for the rough sketch, and then I'll take it to the canvas.
Yeah, it's amazing what some of these programs can do. We were at a film festival competition in town, and there was a high school division, and one guy made like a feature film on his phone with a program, like a whole animated feature film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, actually, I should say it was a short. It was like 10 to 20 minutes.
But still, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing what can be done. So if, say, someone was interested in getting a hold of you to ask for some commission work or a project, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
The easiest way I would say is through my email, which is paintwithpinkus with 2 S's, Pinkuss.
Pinkus.
Yeah, Pinkus.
No, where's Pinkus from?
I just like that word.
I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my mind, but it just seems like there was some sort of. I'm thinking Pinky in the Brain. That's what I'm thinking.
See, that's funny. No, it reminded me of chewed up gum. I don't know why. That just stuck in my head. And then I tried to paint it one time, and I was painting it, and then I was like, I think I'm gonna make that my email. So I just.
Yeah. So I interrupted you. I apologize. What's the email again?
It's paintwithpinkus at gmail.com. Or another really good way is through my Instagram, because I check that daily, so it's a really good way.
Now, I'm really curious, because I've asked some other guests this, because like I'm old school, I'm used to phone calls or maybe texting or a regular email. When you're doing a lot of business with Instagram, I mean, I guess I envision people getting like 1,000 DMs on their Instagram and having to go through all those to find the business ones.
Not for me really, because people that are sending me a message is very much art related as far as like wanting something. But yeah, I don't really get any kind of crazy DMs or anything, so that's good. I'm very grateful.
Thank you for your time. You've been a wonderful guest.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
This is Peter from the third chair down at Light Speed with Jessica de la Luna, the curator, dancer, and artist in her own right. Welcome. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you.
Now, I just want to mention that I met you quite a while back. My daughter, Rebecca, was in high school and she made contact with you. She wanted to come down and check out a class.
Yes.
And not only did she come and watch, I think you invited her in to participate. And she absolutely loved it and loved you and spent a couple of years with you as her dance instructor and mentor, and it was just such a fantastic experience for her. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. I remember it quite clearly.
Yeah, yeah.
She's a great girl.
So passionate about it, really passionate. So, I'm aware of your dancing and your curating here. I don't know much about you in terms of your other artistic passions. What kinds of things do you do, and what genres or mediums do you use?
Yeah. So it was COVID, when COVID hit, and we weren't allowed, if you will, back in the dance studios. I decided to switch to visual arts as a bit of an outlet for creativity.
Nice.
I started pour painting first. To be honest with you, my whole life I've been a maker, so a crafter.
A crafter?
Yeah. I make various things, dream catchers, bells.
Did you ever do any quilting?
I didn't. I would love to do quilting now.
My wife enjoys quilting.
Very good. It's really fun, actually.
Yeah, it is. She just was at the table tonight cutting out a bunch of patterns.
Yeah, see, I think I would really like that because collaging is something that I do, and so
Sure.
I love to cut paper.
Uh-huh.
It's very
you do.
soothing.
Yeah, paper and material.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And we got a bunch of grandkids, and so she's making quilts for everybody.
That is so cool. I love those heirloom quilts, they're really important and rare these days.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, do you do any jewelry making? Or anything
Yeah,
like that?
I actually do. So with my paint pouring, the way that paint pouring works is you kind of move it around on the canvas, and when that happens, it runs off of the canvas, and you end up with a lot of extra waste, if you will. And I allow that extra waste to dry, and then I peel it off and create what's called a skin, and then I make jewelry out of that. So I take glass and I put it on top of the skin that has come from the paint, and I cut it out and I insert it inside of jewelry cases.
Paint pouring. I mean, it almost sounds like panning for gold.
It's very similar. You do roll the canvas around like that for sure.
And then, and so is the intention a little more of an abstract idea, or are you trying to roll the paint around like to make a cat, or
Wow, that would be interesting. It's definitely an abstract idea. There's various ways that you can do it, various techniques and various additions of chemicals that you can use to create different reactions with the paint. And that's what I like to do. My favorite thing is to put silicone inside of the paint and create cells inside of the paint itself as it comes off onto your canvas. And the really cool thing about making jewelry is a lot of the times the paint that comes off the canvas is way cooler than what stays on the canvas.
That's a little unexpected.
Right? It is.
Yeah.
So you get to make, when you make jewelry, when I make jewelry, they're like mini pictures. Little tiny pictures of what you've already created on a larger scale. And I personally love little tiny things, so it's really fun to make jewelry out of the
Wow,
paint.
that's fantastic. Now, do you have music or prose or an author that inspires you for your work?
Yeah, absolutely. Music is my life. I mean, being a dancer.
Of course.
I think that a lot of my inspiration is driven by music for sure. And not only inspiration for my artistic life, but in my life in general.
Do you have particular styles of music or eras of music that you like more than others?
Yeah. So, of course, hip-hop, since I was a hip-hop teacher.
Of course.
That is my go-to genre. However, when I'm creating, I like to go a little bit more on the heavier side, and I like to listen to Tool and Perfect Circle, Nine Inch Nails, Pussifer. I really like to put those bands on while I'm creating work, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I think I'm a little bit older than you. I mean, to me, I'm a classic rock guy from the '70s, and to some extent, sort of a hair band guy from the '80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bon
but-
Jovi.
Or a guy
Yeah.
that has no hair.
Yeah.
I don't know about you being older than me, though. I think we're pretty much the same age.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, you look way younger than me. Let's put it that way. Yeah. Now, when you're creating, do you ever sort of run into the equivalent of, let's call it, writer's block?
Absolutely. Yes.
And how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so depending on what's happening in my life, the level of stress, if you will, that can definitely cause a bit of a block artistically. I look for inspiration in everyday things, I'm inspired by being here in my gallery every single day. Mm-hmm. I'm inspired by the artists. The artists that come in here are just absolutely top-notch and so inspirational. I cannot not be inspired by them. Mm-hmm. But then also my children inspire me. But really my coworker and the owner of our space, Nat Feather, myself and Nat really kind of just go together when it comes to creating.
That's fantastic when you can, I don't know if support person's the right word, but
yeah, it is.
In history, great artists like at the time of C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, who wrote all these amazing stuff, they had a group called the Inklings in Britain, where they would get together and, hey, have you finished your book yet, kind of stuff.
Yes.
Kind of hold each other accountable.
Yeah. Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Accountable and inspiring, for sure, yeah. At Light Speed, we like to get together as a family, if you will, or a collective, and about once every 2 weeks, we stay here very, very late at night, and we just paint and create and collage and do paper mache and anything creative that you can possibly think of that we're working on at the time. We just get together and do it as a fun little party.
Now, I've thrown around the word curator a number of times, or curations for the title of for Light Speed Curations. I mean, that's how it's listed on my iPhone when I get directions. What exactly does a curator do?
I take care of other people's art. I hang other people's art. I make sure that it looks good in the gallery and that people get inside the gallery to see it. I do as much as possible for the artist so that they can get the recognition they deserve and they can get their art sold. Aside from being a curator, I'm also an art agent, specifically so that I can assist artists in just being artists.
And that's good. That's good. And I assume, just like any agent, a sports agent, you probably take a small commission.
Very small,
yeah. And that's standard business fare in the entertainment world.
Yep.
To me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think one of the tough jobs, if I understand curator, is when you have a show and people are submitting pieces and you have to be the judge. Your work is nice, but it doesn't fit. It's not a fit today or this month. Do you find that difficult at times to tell people
to mitigate?
No.
You know what? The thing is that I don't say no very often. I love art, and I really, really am inspired by people creating art, and so if I can give them a space to hang the art that they've created, that makes me happy.
I love it, but if everyone has got 30 pieces and you have 50 artists, you got to have space for 1,500 pieces.
I mean, it's very organized, right?
Yeah.
So I do have artists that walk in off the street quite often, just word of mouth, various ways that they've discovered our establishment. And what I do in those cases is I really try to fit the artist into a show that we're going to have in the future.
So you were very proactive then in that sense.
Yes, absolutely. I don't want an artist leaving here thinking that I've told them no, because
Sure.
I think that artists in the art world hear no too often, and in the real world, because I mean, if you think about it, in the real world, oftentimes people think of art and artist as a hobby more than a career.
Well, sure.
And I am here to communicate to people, the buyers, the viewers, that this is a career. These people, they do this because they love this. This is their passion, just like any other career that's chosen, doctor, so that's a really, really important point to convey to people, is that this is a career. And so for me to say no to an artist, it gives me a bit of not a good feeling.
Sure.
And it doesn't matter what their art looks like, right? Because art can be subjective. It can
totally.
look great, or art is subjective. It
Yeah.
can be great looking to one person and not so great to the next. So that's not my choice. That's not my opinion, Everybody has different opinions. So I don't hang art in here just because I like it. Because
Right.
the next person could not like it. And then vice versa. I could not like something and somebody really loves it.
Yeah, but someone has to be in charge and make decisions.
Yes, that is true.
With limited resources.
Yes.
Yes,
So
that's a challenge. Yeah.
It is. So what I do is I do a call to artists. If I'm having a show that I'm a little questionable about, or maybe I don't know exactly who to choose, I'll do a call to artists. And then I gather all of the artists that came in, and I decide whose pieces fit the theme of the show. I like to do theme shows. Obviously, the women's show is, the theme is women, a women artist, which should always be celebrated.
Of course.
But for October, we're having spooky, scary, dark arts theme, and for November, we're doing a bit of a powwow theme, and
Wow.
Native American.
Oh, okay.
And then in December, there's a club in town called Art Trekkers. They are a collective. They're doing their show in here. We're directly associated with them, so we're allowing them to use our space for their show. But really, it's just gathering the artists, knowing what their art looks like, telling them when I send out that email, okay, I want between 5 and 10 pieces from you, so that I set boundaries. And then just communicating, and just constant communication, and telling them what my expectations are, and then telling me what their expectations are, and then putting together a show. I've actually been awake for 2 nights until about 4 in the morning.
Oh, wow.
hanging up almost 150 pieces of art, as you saw out there.
Yeah, I'm just amazed that, and don't take this the wrong way, that some of it doesn't fall off the walls. I'm wondering, how do you got that up there? It looks like, I don't see any big nails or duct tape.
Yeah. Somebody told me tonight, hanging the art on this wall is an art in itself. And I was like, wow, I guess that's true.
I've heard of curators dropping and breaking people's
Oh,
art.
absolutely. You have to be very gentle, very responsible, very aware. I think awareness is probably the key. It's just being aware of your surroundings. Sure. 2 days ago, there was art everywhere in this gallery, everywhere. I was stepping over art. Thank goodness I'm a dancer, because I was climbing off of the ladder in very creative ways.
Let me ask you 2 questions. One, do you take commission work? And if you do, what's the best way, if someone is interested, that perhaps sees the show tonight, to contact you?
I do take commission work, yes, absolutely. The best way to contact me would be via one of our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, Light Speed Curations. That is the easiest way to contact us. And then you can also just walk in to our gallery. We're open Tuesday through Sunday from noon to 10-ish. Because sometimes we're like, wow, it's 9 and nobody's been in for an hour, so we're going to leave. But yeah, that would be the best way to contact me, is just Facebook, our social media outlets, and then just walking in and seeing me.
Well, thank you for your time. You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
And come on, guys, let's contact her and give her some commissions to work on.
Bring your art to see me, please. We love to hang it.
Thank you. I'm Peter from Pikes Peak Recovery Coaching, and as you know, I do help people with drug and alcohol recovery issues. I love to help people get better, but I also offer a variety of other services, including regular life coaching services. I've helped several people write and finish a book. I've helped a doctor that was in medical school graduate and then get into a residency. And I also actually have quite a background in mathematics, and I do some math tutoring for the GED as well as the ASVAB for those that are thinking about a career in the military. So my contact information is on the screen. Please send me an email or a text, and we can talk about some of these services and how I can help. That's Peter Grigg at Pikes Peak Recovery Coaching. Well, that was a fantastic showcase of very talented female artists here at Light Speed Curations in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I hope you enjoyed that. We will have more in the future. And so in the meantime, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you know when we upload another episode. Good night from the third chair.
This is the third